I'm just waiting for notification. All right, yes, sir. Okay, boom, perfect. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast. This afternoon, we have an incredible guest with us, the student minister out of Durham, North Carolina, who's going to give us some powerful information as well as some inspiration. First of all, assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam, brother Joshua. Good to see you, my brother.
Good to see you as well, sir. And I want to make sure I'm pronouncing your name correct. It's brother Amon.
Amon.
Amon. That's okay. That's one before I
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You
Amon.
good?
Yes, sir. Got it. And brother Amon, this means so much to us, myself, my family, and the viewing audience that you would come to the People's Podcast, sir. This means a lot to us.
Means a lot to me, brother. Means a lot.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Okay, well, the first question we want to know, sir, is when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
I first heard the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in my senior year in high school. Senior in high school in 1990. That was the first time I heard about the teachings and the teachings. And the minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at that time, in the late 80s and early 90s, as you know, um, had the campuses were lit, you know. So colleges, high school, um, arguably that is the golden age of hip hop. Really, no argument, but but there was a lot of places, and that from which we were being fed.
Yes,
So
sir.
that was when I first began to hear about the teachings. No internet like that at that time, but conversation, music, older friends that I had that were going back and forth to college, and that type of thing. That's when and we really began hearing about the nation and the work the minister was doing, trying to raise up our people.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful, sir. And some people showing you love right away. Brother Captain Deshane, my sister Miriam, someone says something like him, sister Captain Brenda. Everybody showing you love.
Yeah,
And please, once I put it on YouTube, please continue to like, share, subscribe to the People's Podcast, everyone.
absolutely.
Yes, sir. And okay, well, Brother Minister, how did your family and friends feel about you accepting the teachers?
Well, brother, at first it was rough. Um, I my family members, I was in the church, a Christian, and I really tried church. It was not something that I was, mad with God or had a problem with Jesus or really religion for that matter, but it was not as quite as active, as I would have liked. There was not enough activity. I would use that word where that I felt like it was always something going on. You got to remember at that time, it was a lot going on. This was an era in which Middle East war. You're talking about the first time we going over there and fighting, and so we had people and peers that were going to Iraq, and that war was all of that was happening. You had, of course, at this time Rodney King and that whole scenario. So it was a lot going on, and I wanted to be a part of something that was a little bit more active and responsive to what was going on. So when I really began to study the teachings before I joined, I was 17 when I first heard the teachings. I didn't register until after I turned 18, my freshman year in college at North Carolina A&T State University, the greatest HBCU on earth, Aggie Pride. But that's where I got my ex. And so when I first began to dibble and dabble in the teachings, my immediate family and some family members, they didn't pay that close attention because they thought, it was a phase that I was going through, because I was doing a little bit of everything at that time, sports and music. And so I was all over the place. So it was a phase, but after a certain point, folk realized that okay, this is not a phase. This boy is serious about this. So they became concerned and began to reach out and try to find, how to maybe dissuade me from some of the things that I was engaging in. And luckily, and I say luckily because I know a lot of people had, who didn't have the privilege to have this particular aspect of the experience. My pastor, who by that time I wasn't really um, active in the church once I really began getting his teachings, and the brother who was my childhood pastor that my family really trusted, they reached out to him, and he was like, that boy done found God, leave him alone.
Mm,
Just leave him alone. And his word um, and his presence was so strong, brother, that my family didn't bother me anymore after he told them to leave me alone. So that was a great blessing, I feel, uh, in my life. And over time, my family came to see that this was a good decision, um, and really the best decision that I could have made. And since that time, the overwhelming majority of my family, biological family, are some of the strongest supporters that the minister has. So it was rough at first, as it was for many, but Allah blessed their hearts to see that Minister Farrakhan was the great miracle worker and was able to change our lives immediately.
beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Well, what was it like? What was the climate like in North Carolina? When you joined and accepted the teachings, what was it like being a believer there?
Uh, it was beautiful. You
Mm,
know, um, I often tell folk that and I use social media. I use the internet. I'm on everything and use everything but TikTok. I hadn't quite rocked with the top,
yes.
but I use it. But you know, in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, it was different because you had more bookstores, you had more activity, you had to be present, to really engage, and you got a chance to, even if you were going to meetings just to we used to say sharpen your sword, having light and lively debates. Even with that, it was different because we were present with each other, not keyboard warriors and
Mm,
going back and forth with people that they don't even believe on the other end of that screen. They don't even believe what they're talking about.
mm,
But so it to me it was a good time. Um, we I was blessed that a lot of us as youngsters joined at the same time. It was, and a lot of my friends at then in high school and college were friends to this day. Many of them became Muslims. Probably 11 of us, last I counted, maybe 11 of us joined maybe within 2 or 3 months of each other,
mm, mm.
which was beautiful, you know. So I had a very, very, very good experience. My first student minister Ray, who a brother, I love him, I love his family. Brother student minister Willie, also known as Asim Razak, beautiful families in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. They had a beautiful restaurant at that time. Brother Lorenzo, also known as Brother Basir Razak, down on 4th and Patterson, I believe it was, Shabazz restaurant. So we had somewhere to go, we had somewhere to eat.
Yes, sir.
We would chill in the brother's living room floor, like 5 or 6 of us, college students. And, him and his wife would go upstairs and like, all right, y'all lock up when you leave. And we'll leave us in the house and we still kicking it. So I really had a good experience, brother, as a younger person coming into the teachings. And I'll never forget ever the warmth and gratitude and brotherhood and the camaraderie that we shared, and the hotel rooms that we shared, probably breaking the hotel rules, stuffed up in there, right? traveling with the minister on tour. Those are still very, very special times to me. So I love the area. I love the people. I love the believers. It's just, it's been a wonderful thing. It's been a wonderful thing. I would do it all again. I would do it all again.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And
Alhamdulillah.
speaking of traveling with the Most High Mr. Farrakhan, what was it like for you meeting him for the first time?
Oh man. Like everybody else on the planet, right? Overwhelming.
Yes, sir.
The minister is a man that as soon as you're in his presence, you realize you're not dealing with a regular person. And you can have all of these things in your mind about what you're gonna say, what you're gonna ask, and what I mean. And very rarely does that happen. And I don't know many people who've been able to retain their thoughts in an organized fashion once they're in once they're in his presence. And I remember, I'll never forget, it was April of 1992, and the minister actually was visiting Winston-Salem, North Carolina, on the low to support. Many of you probably have heard when he, with the concerto they just aired, he mentioned a sister by the name of Aminta Hummings, who was a good friend of his, beautiful sister, musician, talented, and her sons were very talented as well. And her son, Ahmad, I believe it was giving he was performing a violin concert. And the minister actually came in town to not do anything but to support, because that's the kind of brother that he is. Mm-hmm. So he can, and I was blessed to, I registered in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And so I was blessed to be present during his visit. And a lot of when they found out, or he shared that, this wasn't the type of affair, everybody, you can leave and go back. We're just going to be hush hush. A lot of the brothers, of course, left. And I wasn't driving at that time. And the lieutenant said, well, Brother Amon, where you going? I said, I'm going wherever my lead at. That's where I'm going. Yes, sir. And so the captain at that time, he didn't flip out on me, which was a blessing. He said, well, bring him on down here. This was on the telephone. And so I went down to the hotel, and I was blessed to go up to the suite. And when the minister came back from the violin concert, I happened to be one of the people in the room. And that literally was the first time that I met him, and Mother Khadija, who was also so warm, so beautiful, such a mother to all. And it was just beautiful, a beautiful experience. And one last point on that I can say now that I somewhat observed then, but I can see it much clearer now, is that, of course, there were a lot of people with him in terms of security, and some other people who had, come around to visit when they found out he was in town. But he gave me more attention than anybody else that was present. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I thought that was a little weird. I thought that was, hey, you got all of these, important people here. But, and there are people that are around today who would bear witness to this fact. He didn't spend too much time with them. He wanted to talk to me. He wanted to know where I was from, what was going on. Oh, you in school? What you going to school for? So that was different to me. I didn't expect that. But he's very interested always in his followers, and especially the younger ones. What are we up to? And he showed tremendous love. His family showed tremendous love, and that I'll always carry that in my heart. That was a beautiful first meeting.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And how did you become the minister there?
Well, I've been in Durham since September of 2008.
Mm.
As is a city that I was assigned to. That it was a few cities in our nation that were in need of a student minister, and Durham was a city that I had an uncle who went to Central. I don't hold it against him, but he went to North Carolina Central, and so he was like my man coming up, right? So I would sometimes go stay with him in the summers for a little while, and so Durham was an area that I was familiar with, and the people and its rich Black history and legacy. So that was a city that I thought, I said, well, this would be perhaps a good fit for me and whatnot, which proved to be a good choice on all parties involved, because it's a beautiful city with beautiful but committed people, beautiful believers and supporters in the community. So I ended up there in 2008. After I met the minister in 92, the day after that, he invited us to those who present to his hotel suite to, he just wanted to talk, which I found out later was, a little, again, a little different. And our student captain at that time, brother John, who I'm sure you know, brother John F. Muhammad, who's in Greensboro now.
Yes, sir.
He was the FOI captain at that time, and he had the presence of mind in a recording. He asked, the minister, could he record that table talk? So we actually do have it. I'll make sure you get a copy of it. And it was so much guidance that he gave us. And again, he said some, I would say, very kind words that at that time, he was my teacher. I knew that, but it's hard sometimes to believe good about yourself, especially when you're fresh up out the grave, brother. And so at that time, I felt like, the ministers, he sees a young, he was 58 years old. I'm 18 years old. And so in my mind, he's so happy to see a young person, trying to get their life together. You know what I mean? This is what I'm thinking in my mind. But it was so, again, so beautiful, and how he's treated. And brother, I want to teach you all that I can. And he was impressed. And in my mind, I was like, I don't know. And so after that, a week or two after that, our captain at that time, he said, well, the minister, talk about a man like that, you can't stay no private soldier. So after that, I became a lieutenant. And soon after that, I became the student first officer in that area. And at the same time, we were building up, a lot of us as young people and students, we were building up Greensboro, North Carolina, and it started meeting on the campus. And that grew phenomenally. And beautiful brother who's around today, and I just saw him a couple of weeks ago in Durham by the name of Bruce Bridges. He had a bookstore called the No Bookstore, and he had one in Durham, as a matter of fact, and he had one in Greensboro across the street from A&T. And we used to hang out in his store and talk and chop it up. And he had a storage room on the side of that, and of his store. And I'm not a person who has ever been afraid to ask about anything if I want to know or want to do whatever. So we were growing so fast. I asked brother, I said, brother Bruce, you have that storage room. It's not full. We're growing so fast on the yard, brother. Can I give you a little money? And the believers that's over there, we come over and, meet during the week next door. He said, sure, brother. And that was our first meeting place in Greensboro. I gave him $50 a week, and he gave me the in and out. I mean, it was wonderful. It was a great blessing. And so that grew. And brother student minister Willie, Asim Razak, and brother John, they became the FOI captain and the student minister there. And we were rocking and rolling, and the nation was booming. And I mean, it was just a beautiful thing. So At that time, we were growing so fast. We were being recognized by headquarters in Chicago, and we were invited to a meeting with Brother Don and a few others, and my Mr. and Captain said, "Well, Brother Amon, you handle this stuff for us, and you pay the bills, and you got us, you do all this stuff, but and we got to go here, but we don't have no secretary. So could you just do it for a little while until we can get somebody?"
Yes, sir.
And you know how that go, right? So that little while ended up being about 5 or 6 years. And but we had a wonderful time. And during that time, our laborers, we were very tight, we were cool, and our minister was a very humble brother. And I had the spirit, even back then, and he would have me to teach quite often. And so Winston and Reidsville, that's where we really, Winston and Greensboro, that's where we really got started. And the minister shared with me about how he really got sparked to preach in Reidsville, North Carolina, which was my hometown, which I would have never thought he would have known anything about. But he told me that one of his close friends in college went to Salem State University. I give them a little props too. He's the best thing that came out of there. But and my oldest goes there too. We're the best we can. But he said that going back and forth from Boston, he didn't have the money to going back and forth like that. So he would come home sometimes with his friend who lived in Reidsville and stay with him. And that's how he was familiar with the area. And that he as an Episcopal, he said, now this is what he told me, he said that church services were dry. And so he said he went with this brother to church, and he said, "I'll never forget the man nor the subject. He taught on life is like a vapor. It's only here for a short while and then it's gone." And he said, that man set my soul on fire. Mm-hmm. And he said that, and he got my last dollar. And he said it was at that time that I knew that I needed to preach God's word. But I never could find a place or a church home that would speak to the reality of our people's situation. And then I ran up on Brother Malcolm and them, and of course the rest is history. But that's where I got sparked, and I knew that I wanted to preach God's word. So brother, it'd make me very happy if you would start something there. So that's detour number 3. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna take up all the time on that, but it's a journey that we all go through, that we think sometimes we know what the next step is going to be. And when you're blessed to be in the presence of a divine messenger of God, who Minister Farrakhan is, you change your mind when his mind shows you something else.
Yes, sir.
And then later Allah will show you that he has been developing you for that next step, and whatever you're currently doing, that's not it either. It's preparatory for the next step. So my next step, of course, was Durham, and again, I love it, and it has been very impactful on my life, and I hope and pray that Allah and his Christ and the minister accepts our service and the believer's services that we're trying to do to help him in that area.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Thank you, sir.
Alhamdulillah.
And thank everyone who's watching. Please continue to like, share, subscribe to the People's Podcast. I wanted to let you know, Brother Minister, that you've been around, man, my entire life. It seems like, every time I go to Savior's Day and all the events, but I've never had an opportunity to actually have a conversation with you. So it's amazing, that I,
praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir. The good work you're doing. So I want to thank you on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience for your sacrifice and the sacrifice of your family to help build a nation, sir. So we appreciate that.
Thank you. All praises due to Allah.
Yes, sir. My next question for you, sir, is fear. Have you ever been faced with it? And if so, how did you overcome that fear?
Oh, yes. Oh yes. Um, Fear. I've encountered fear a few times. Again, we are blessed to have such a wonderful teacher in front of us. And the minister gave a talk in, I can't remember the exact date. I want to say June of '96, called Fear, Faith, and Truth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that is one, of course, one of my favorite talks and lectures. And even before he gave that lecture, he would always give us principles of importance of challenging our fear. Not that we won't be made afraid, but that we have to challenge our fear. So sometimes, brother, we just have to take a deep breath and a deep swallow and go. And I recall, and North Carolina is a beautiful state, but it's also a home of many, I won't say just regular races, but a hotbed for white supremacist organizations. We'll just put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And in the '90s, when I was maybe started when I was 22, 23 years old, I trying to follow my leader and teacher. I started in my hometown, started an event called Black Family Day that I got all of this from him. And didn't anticipate, which I should have, but didn't anticipate the level of opposition that we faced. And so it got very, very intense. And so, I mean, to the point where it became, telephone calls, death threats, letters, we're going to kill you and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of us can say what we would do. And it's good to think what you would do, but you don't never really know what you would do until you're confronted with situations and circumstances that will cause you to have to now demonstrate what you say you believe. And so we stood up and we fought back. And I even ultimately, myself and the believers at that time, we ultimately even sued the city for what was going on at that time and won. This is historical record. Nation of Islam got a victory. And as a part of the settlement, even to this day, we still have the event there because they can never tell me no, like ever. They can deny other people's events, but us, Nation of Islam, Amon Muhammad, it can never be denied ever in perpetuity, forever. But many was like, hey man, you better lay low, man. You better cool out. And I was blessed to share at that time with the minister, what was going on. And, and he looked me dead in my face and he told me to be very wise and to be very careful. And patted me, had his hand and patted me on my shoulder, said, son, may Allah bless you. Oh, of course, but when I left that, man, it was like that was the raps, right? So it didn't matter at that point, but it was a period in which I had some trepidation because when people are telling you that they're going to kill you, you don't know them, but they know you, right? So at some point, you just got to really believe and trust in the Savior that we've been taught of, because you might see me at the grocery store, maybe you the one, maybe I might be at the mall. So in reality, only God can protect us, brother. I'm saying all that to lead up to challenging fear. You have to come to the realization that nothing can happen to us or around us, especially those of us who believe, except that the Savior permits it. Wow. And if he permits it, well, you still didn't win. It's some kind of benefit that even if you do kill me, you didn't win, I still win. Because all those people that we've been planting seeds and dealt with and been blessed to share the word with and teach good, they're going to come up, hey, man, Brother Mahmoud or whatever, they can't never say my name, right? Whatever they say, but we're going to come see you about him. So I still win. So I already told my wife, brother, you know, I told her if they ever get me, just make sure in the casket, y'all put a smile on my face because I know I won. I know I won. So the best way to challenge your fear is to go ahead and challenge your fear and just do it. Do the thing that's making you afraid. Call on Allah and then do the thing that's making you afraid. And once you get in the motion, once you get the moving, once you get to doing, then God, it's like he just moves instantly. As if he's saying, that's what I was waiting on you to do in the first place, was to rely on me. So it's just so many things and stories, and again, coming up in the nation at the time when NOI security was bumping, and your father who kept the foot in our behind. I'm like, how many feet do this man have? You know what I mean? Excuse me. Yes, but I mean, it was endless, but it was a blessing because he made us and he pushed us to do things that we didn't believe we could do, you know, and things that would happen, and everybody wasn't thrilled about the security and the contracts. And I'm sure you know many times and stories of those who decided that, well, we're gonna try y'all. Well, or what? You gonna do what? We're gonna kill all y'all. You shouldn't have said that. So the red alert, you know, goes out and we all in cars, and you know, I wasn't even, I was the secretary, but I would have to get another brother to rent the cars because I wasn't even old enough to rent the cars at that time. You had to be 25. I wasn't even 25. Then we load up in them cars, we going to Washington. Damn that, you ain't doing that today. So those were great blessings. And you know, we used to call him Uncle Block, Captain Akil. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Uncle Block, you know, come on, brother. We're gonna go. We're gonna tell you, hey, man. By the time he got it out, we was done with it, right? Yes, sir. Yes, so sir. It was just, you just learned that fear was overrated. Fear was overrated, and I would tell anybody, it's gonna come up, but remember the guide that God has given us in Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Call on the God and his Christ, and remember our man, and challenge your fear in whatever the situation is, and watch how quickly that Allah will fly to you and give you courage. Beautiful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You to Allah. You're bringing back so many memories, brother. Beautiful. You know, you have the ability to do that, right? Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. For the Captain Deshane said, that's right, that's how we roll. So the Captain Brendan said, call on Allah, challenge your fears is good. That's right. Good guidance. And thank everyone who's continuing to watch. I can't wait to put this on YouTube. Brother Minister, before we go, we have a few more questions for you, but I have a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast. I want to thank everyone who continues to donate and to sponsor the People's Podcast to help and assist us and keep going. Thank you all very much. If you all like to be a sponsor or a donor, please cash app the People's Podcast. Thank you very much. I want to start with my brother Rashad, Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. If you need anything, please reach out to him. Also, my sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me, children's book and coloring book, both of which are available on Amazon. Please go out and get both of those. Thank you very much. My sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. We love our tiny dancers. Also in studio right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Our brothers out of the West Coast, MTS Car Bros, any make, any model, any year, 30 to 50% off. They'll ship vehicles to you anywhere in the country. Thank you very much. Ra Communications, our sister Rashida Muhammad. If you were writing a book, she offers copy editing, project managing, content development, and media relations and consulting. Thank you very much, Sister Rashida. And if you all need a book, make sure you reach out to Ra Communications. Sister Melville Muhammad out of Houston, Texas. The Elevated Places is an amazing school where I am what God says I am. Elevated Places out of Houston, Texas. They do engineering, just do great work, bilingual Spanish, all these different languages. Great job for Elevated Places out of Houston, Texas.
Asiatic Minds Online. They creating kings and queens virtually. So if you all don't want your children to go back into the school right now and you want to go online, please reach out to AsiaticMinds.com. Thank you very much for coming right back to our brother minister, our brother
Oh,
Kenneth.
wonderful.
Brother Kenneth, bow tie maker extraordinaire. He'll ship bow ties to you all across the country. Thank you very much, Brother Kenneth. If you all need some bow ties, please reach out to him. Our sister Shireen Muhammad, right, with agrichild.com. She choose life. She has amazing children's books, regular books, Why I Wear My Headpiece, The Seed of Greatness. If you would like to purchase her book or put your book in her virtual bookstore, please reach out to agrichild.com. Dr. Henry M. Carter, King Henry's Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad, COVID-19 Disinfecting Cleaning Services out of Chicago. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, abdulsharif.com. And last but not least, my two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Thank you all very much for your continued sponsorships and donations. I get people randomly who just cash at me and they just say, keep going. That matters as well. Thank you all very much. And thank you, Sister Lovett. Right back to you, sir. The Million Man March. What was the climate like in your city, and how did it personally impact you?
Oh my God. The Million Man March, um, as the minister said, it can't be duplicated. The spirit of Black America at that time, male and female, unequal, even before the march, which I'm sure many will remember. At that time, the minister, he came out to us and he was very clear about this being a day of atonement and the holiness of the occasion. And he said that he was going to fast for approximately 40 days for our sins and the sins of the people, and that we as believers should fast 5 days, and that the student laborers, we should fast from 7 to 14 days. And that was at that time, that was the longest fast that I'd ever done. I probably, you could have said, and I would have went away, you know what I mean? But those 9 days really changed my life, because I just never would have believed that I could do that, let alone have it tied to some purpose. And so the people were just so supportive, brother. It was, and at that time also, there was a special edition of the Final Call newspaper that came out, of which the proceeds were to help bankroll the Million Man March, because as you know, we always are doing things as a nation, and at the end, maybe a few people will trickle in and support and give but we have to always get the thing going. And I'll never forget, not only and at that time, that special edition, the $2 edition, to raise money for the Final Call, for the march. And again, your pops, all us on the thing, all the leadership, you on the phone, and he was going through, how many city, where's your city gonna take? You know what I mean? And it wasn't no this stuff we doing now, no sir, brother, no sir. And so we were on the phone, and down there in Greensboro, brother, can you take 15? I'll never forget it. And 15,000 was a lot of papers for it. Now that's just one city.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We didn't think it was nothing that we could not do. And we were sent 15,000 Final Call newspapers. And every brother, we committed that we was going to sell 500 papers, to make this thing happen. Again, having to challenge our fear, and but we loved what we were doing so much.
Yes, sir.
And we were prayed up, and we was fasted up, and we were going to the people to support. And one of the companies that we knew who we would do, we would use often for bus trips and whatnot. They said, and I was my secretary at the time, you say, He said, well, brother, you should go talk to this. I won't call the person's name. You go talk to them. And I'm sure they support the effort. I called the person and I was explaining to her what we were doing and the Million Man March. And she was just telling oh, y'all should do this like that. Why y'all do them papers like that? I'm thinking in my mind, why did I even call this person? I mean, what was going on? I let these brothers gas me up, right?
Yes, sir.
Now I'm sitting here, listening to Charlie Brown's Teacher, right? I said, man, what did I do? So finally, after she got it all out, she said, but I respect the product of what Brother Farrakhan is doing. So how many of them papers you got? I said, I got 500 just like everybody else. I got 500 like everybody else. She said, okay, well, I tell you what, you come on down here to the shop. I'm gonna write you a check. And that woman wrote me a check for all 500 of those papers. I'll never forget that. Then we had buses and the black woman was so inspired. She was so happy that she saw that this black man, he looked like he's about to make a turn. And it just goes to show you, brother, that over 25 years, how maybe we took a dip back, but the enemy accelerated forward and said, I must destroy the hope that I see in black women towards black men. And he went to work on us on the inside, or brothers, and he went to work on our women to begin to turn their minds from what they were finally looking at black men as they should. And we had buses, and the bus seat at that time was $50, which is like nothing today, right? At that time, $50, that was a little change. And brother, they were coming to our spot, paying for bus seats faster than we could write receipts for. And we're like, well, hold on, sister, who is it for? I don't give a damn who it is. Just put a black man in that seat. I don't care who you put in there. Just buying seats with no bodies. Beautiful, beautiful. We went to A&T's homecoming. Again, G-Ho, the greatest homecoming on earth. We won't debate that here today nor tomorrow because it's the greatest homecoming on earth. Even during the pandemic, you can't duplicate us. But A&T's homecoming is like sacred, in all honesty. And we went to homecoming promoting the Million Man March. We getting ready to go to Washington. We want everybody, and Allah bless us. Again, it's fearless FOI. We went up into the announcement box. We some kind of way found our way up into the announcement box during the football game and told the people during the halftime, during the break, commandeered the microphones, you are going to support the Million Man March. It's going to happen. And brother, then we had FOI that had sheets, long white bed sheets, like off your bed, and went through all the stands, brother, and people were throwing money in there. Go ahead, and was throwing money in that. There's a brother by the name of Brother Kenneth. He's watching somewhere. He's an old soldier from back then. If not, there are people that are vouch for this. We were on every corner, man. The people just supporting, signing them up, getting registrations, didn't care nothing about no traffic. This man, Kenny, he went in the middle of the street, brother, put his hand up and stopped the city bus. The bus stops in the middle of the street. He goes on the bus and tells everybody on the bus, you're going to support Farrakhan in this effort on the Million Man March. And went through the bus with collection baskets, and everybody gave on the bus, including the bus driver.
Yes, sir.
Brother, there was so much love, so much inspiration. I don't even want to use the word inspiration because it was a divine effect that happened and was happening to our people. Yes, and then to go there and see all of the brothers, and it was some sisters there too. You couldn't keep them away. But just to see that, and everybody had left town. All the top officials, all the congresspersons, all of the senators, even the president, and to walk around in the halls of Congress We peeping in there and looking at people's office, like, damn, they all gone for real, huh? They was gone, bro. And for that day, we were in charge in Washington, D.C. Every brother who bumped what you see on TV, what the media tries to say, those detractors in this modern time trying to talk about what the Million Man March was. You talk to any man who was there, his life was affected. Talk to any man that was there, his life changed. And the enemy had to find out how to, at that time, it wasn't called that cancel culture, but to make people disappear because of so many people who were impacted and affected by the Million Man March. And it's still people that are coming out. If you listen to them long enough, you will see how it'll come out about the effect of the Million Man March and how they studied the minister, how they studied our effort, how they studied our ways. Until that time, if you wanted to be a president, you was a senator or a hot top politician, you relied on big donors and contributions and corporate dollars. But because a little organizer from Chicago named Barack Hussein Obama, because he participated in the Million Man March and had a close observation of its organization and how people can get fired up and how they could come together. He saw from the Million Man March that you can get a whole lot more 5, 10s, and 20s than you can 100,000, 200,000, and 250,000. And when he began to run for president, they said, what? Barack, you ain't gonna be able to raise enough money. But because he followed the example of Farrakhan and the FOI and the MGT and the strong supporters and those who opened their doors and opened up their sorority houses and their frat houses and supported, he saw, no, this is the way to go. I tell anybody to this day, that man wouldn't have be president if he hadn't followed that example. There's just so many who benefited, and there are so many who paid a price behind their support. And we saw, even though we may not be conscious of it, we can see now, we saw immediately the enemy went to work to systematically just dispel and break apart and dismantle Black groups and organizations and Black media. And, and today you have 3 or 4 companies and that own all media. A lot of that comes behind the Million Man March. I have to put a pin in it, but we will never be able in this lifetime to measure the impact of the Million Man March and the effect that it had on those present, all the way down to the effect that it had on our seed. This will continue to go on into generations and generations and generations. And for those who doubt it, you got a million everything. Everybody, every time they say a million woman, million man, million doctor, million everything. Every time they say a million anything, you should send a check to the number 2 poor. And I'll be glad when we get strong enough to come, help collect that check. All praise is due to Allah. To further the work that really people are benefiting from to this day, every day, brother, every day.
Beautiful.
Sorry about that. I love the Million Man March.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent. Yes, sir. I wish, to this day, I wish I could have experienced it and to know. I mean, I live vicariously through you, my father, and so many other men who I've interviewed and talked about it. But I wish I could have seen it. And every time y'all say it ain't never gonna happen again, I'll be like, I just hopefully something can come up that we can be a part of. Like, my God.
Yes.
Yes, sir. What has been your oh no, you spoke earlier of the miracles of the Most High Mrs. Farrakhan, right? And in some statement that you were making, what made you go see the Most High Mrs. Farrakhan from maybe a speaker or an activist to someone who is divinely guided?
Oh, I can tell you that. I remember, as most Black men in America, we all had we had a rough upbringing. A lot of things happened to us of things happen around us. And, you know, like many people coming up, my parents divorced early, and my father remarried a few times, and my mother remarried a few times. So I had a chance to witness a lot, you know. Um, and the you know, you can try the church, but the streets are, they're so appealing. It's just so much going on right in the street. And although I tried to, you know, do everything in the right way, but yo, man, it was the 80s, man.
Mm.
It was just so much going on, man. It was parties and whatnot, like every day, literally. So, you know, we just got involved in a lot of different things. But one of the things that deeply affected me when I was very young was my mother, her second husband, who, may Allah be pleased with him, he's passed now. And if he was alive, I don't think he would mind me sharing this. Marvin, many knew him as James Broadnax, but they were married and they divorced maybe 81-ish, something like that. But he was a good brother to me. We didn't have any problems, but unfortunately, when he was trying to get himself together, you know, my mother was working, and he was trying to get a job. And I'll never forget this. And there was this company at that time, which called American Tobacco Company. You may have heard of it, but it's like made cigarettes, and it was a quote unquote very good job. And he was trying to get a job there because if you got a job there, you had money and benefits and all kinds of things. And he tried to get a job there. He was able to get a job there. So some of the people that were there, they were trying to meet some quotas and trying to hire, yes, blacks, but also some women. So they asked about my mother, who brought him there, but she wasn't even trying to get a job there. And my mother ended up getting a job there, and he didn't. Oh man, it was devastating. I remember all of this even as a child. And you know, uh, alcohol was a beast, drugs was a beast, and unfortunately, he got involved in heroin, and that was a rough time for us. Well, all the things that come from that happened in our household. So they ultimately split. I would see him from time to time. You know, my mother would get us to visit because he was still a good brother in my life. But you know, it was just a problem, and there were things that not with me, but you know, him and my mom, they would. It was rough. It was rough, and so later on, I wouldn't see him for many years. Fast forward to this Nation of Islam. The minister, he says, you know, brother, I would like you to do this and do that. So I tried to get started. And the very first time I ever spoke publicly, I made it through. I was nervous, still get nervous today, but I made it through the talk. We had a very good crowd. At that time, we considered a good crowd. About 70 people out, which was not bad for a first time. I'll never forget it. And at the end, during the acceptance, people were coming up, shaking my hands, and I see a brother coming up the aisle. And I can't hardly make out his face because, I mean, he's crying and he's snotting and, I mean, just in tears. So he's like the second or third person. I'm shaking hands, but I'm looking at this man. I'm like, is that Mark? You know, my step ex-father? Mm. And it was. He gets to my hand and he holds my hands. And he accepted Islam that day. And he was snotting and crying and was apologizing how wrong he was. And, you know, he wished he'd never done this, you know, and all of that, and apologized to, you know, tell your mama I'm sorry. I mean, it was, brother, I will never forget that. When I saw that, and I saw firsthand this man's condition, up, down, and then down, and where he was, and to see the effect and the way he sincerely apologized and begged our pardon. I knew then, although I did not understand, I would say the teachings fully. I don't claim to understand them fully now, but I know at that time it was very, I would say, superficial. But I saw then, I said, this don't have no, this don't have no equal. What the minister gives us, and we share it in the way, in the spirit that he does it, if it does that, I know without a shadow of a doubt that this is it. You know, one more thing too that changed my mind, not changed my mind, but helped me to see some insight into Minister Farrakhan being 1000% unalike. When he was doing all these tours and traveling and going this place and that place, I was blessed at that time to really be around, especially as a youngster. And you know, it wouldn't be necessarily good to have somebody come to his room that he wouldn't that be his room that he wouldn't recognize. So that became like my little side job, to babysit minister's suite, when he would be around.
Yes, sir.
And so this particular entertainer had just got married, and the minister did their wedding. So we were there, and I was babysitting the suite, and I was in there, watching sports and stuff like that on the TV. I love sports. And so when your pops called and said, we want to wait, so come back to the room. So now I'm nervous. So I'm trying to flip on the TV, right, to act like I'm watching something smart or something, right? No, they can't come up here. I'm watching a football game, right?
Yes, sir.
So my dumb self, I'm flipping. And unfortunately, at the exact time that they come in the room, there's a program that at that time, our relationship with the Shabazz family, and at times it was contemptuous. And our sister, Brother Malcolm's widow, Betty Shabazz, she was on this show. Maybe it was Donnie, who was one of these shows she was on. And man, she was giving us the business. And I'm thinking like, man, this is probably like the worst. I mean, bro, how could you mess up like so bad? You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So I'm like, man, this is terrible. So everybody comes in, the E-team, I mean, everybody's like that. And everybody's looking at the TV, and I can't repeat on your program some of the words that was being shared at that time. Mm. So of course I'm feeling bad, like, man, you done blew it, whatever. And of course the minister is present. And he looks maybe a minute or two, and then he turns and looks at me. Well, son, is there anything else on? He was not bothered at all. He was not, it was nothing. He didn't, and I'm telling you, brother, any of us, I don't care what you say again, you're going to be tried on what you think that you know. Most of us would not have responded. I can't say all. I would say most of us would not have taken anybody talking to us, about us, in such a disparaging, disrespectful manner, one-on-one, let alone with thousands and thousands and thousands of people are watching this. And I'm telling you, that man was not bothered at all. And I turned that TV and found some boxing, and we sat down and watched the fight. And he started talking about boxing and fighting and who was going to win and all of that. Blew my mind. So when I say that, Minister Farrakhan is otherworldly, his capacity to love after the fact. And I'm not the only one, of course, who has witnessed things like this. Many have witnessed things like that, and visiting the National House, and we at dinner, and you look across and say, hey man, what are you doing here? And that's Brother Farrakhan. His capacity to love, his capacity to forgive is unrivaled.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Only God and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad
Right.
love more
That's right.
than him. I'm convinced. I'm convinced. And there's many, many more, but I won't take your time up, brother, but I'm convinced that that man and these teachings, we don't need to do any more experimenting and trying to figure out, what about this way? What about this philosophy? Let me go dibble and dabble in that. You dibble and dabble your behind right back over in thus saith the Lord. That's what you do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And use what has been working for 90 plus years and help our man get our people. That's what we need to be doing.
Beautiful, beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Excellent. But brother minister, what do you do for fun?
Oh, what I do for fun? Well, I still like sports a little bit, but I try to spend as much time. We don't stay younger forever. I still consider myself young, but at least 4 or 5 days a week, I'm in that gym, and I don't play with it, brother. I'm in there hard. I'm in there. I'm trying to keep living, right?
Yes, sir.
So that, to me, while some won't consider it fun, it's fun to me. Yelling at myself and screaming and come on, you know what I mean? That's fun to me.
Yes, sir.
I still love music. Listening to it. I don't get a chance to play. I play a few instruments,
Okay.
piano and saxophone, and
Okay.
I was teaching myself guitar when I stopped, and even stuff like harmonica. I can play harmonica. You know what I mean?
Go ahead.
So I miss that music, but I still listen and dibble and dabble. I'm still a hip hop head. I love old school, but and I love what we have in our nation, of course. J Electronica. I love Neelam. I love Brother Donique. He puts it down. Brother McHale, he does good. I love Brother Namar's Brother Parliament. He's got it. I love that. And then I might listen to some Freddie Gibbs. You know what I mean? It just depends on
I like Freddie
how I
Gibbs.
feel. You know what I mean? Right now I'm listening to Tyler Creator's new joint. You got that?
Yeah, I like Tyler Creator. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's nasty. You heard that joint he got with Lil Wayne yet?
No, sir. No,
This
sir.
little collabo he's got on it. You need to go pull it up.
Yeah,
you need to go pull it up. And her, I'm listening to her right now.
Okay, I like her. I like her.
So yeah. So it might not be holy, but it does have a little bit fun. But if I can just take some time, and my wife and my children, sometimes we just get together and just laugh at memes, stuff that other people do. We got a little family chat, and Black folks is so talented. We enjoy watching stuff that people make, in their backyard or at home, or
yes, sir.
these little shows that are on the internet now, and just laugh at them. So that's about as much fun as we get involved in, because it's just so much work to do in terms of the labor. So that's what we try to do for fun whenever we can, if Allah blesses us to do so.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Well, you keep mentioning sports. What type of sports do you like to watch?
Oh, I really love them all. I like football. I like basketball. Right now, I'm trying to keep up as best I can. Right now, track and field is so exciting.
Mm-hmm.
More exciting than it's been for a long. It's always good, but right now, I'm excited about other people being excited about track and field and learning more about that. But right now, I'm really excited about that, and of course, I hope Terrence Laird, I hope he gets it together. I enjoy him. Of course, everybody right now is on the Shikari tip.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Shirley Fraser Price. I mean, she's gonna bring her A game.
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
Then there's another sister that's not being talked as much about. Her name is Bless. Now you in trouble. when you got a racist sister named Blessings, but she's fine up the track. So I like I love track and field. You know, I just love competition. In school, I wrestled. I still think that's a great sport.
Yes, sir.
I would have pursued it even collegiately, but the Muslims got me. So that and the little singlet and didn't go with selling papers, so I had to let that go.
Yes, sir.
But I still love that sport,
Mm.
sport of wrestling, and every now and then, although it's savage, I'll check out some MMA and just see cats go at it.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
I just love competition. I just love competition and the thrill of competition.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. I just have a few more questions for you, sir. What
Sure,
advice,
brother.
what advice would you give to future fathers?
Future fathers, man, look. First of all, never think you've got it.
Mm.
That you got it. Never, I got this. You don't have it. And let's say that you do kind of have it. But times and situations change so much and so fast that by the time you get to exercise what you think times have changed, and that ain't even gonna work on your children. So you have to be open to paying attention, being observant, quite faithful. When I mean faithful, I'm talking about to whatever it is that you say you believe, whatever your faith expression is, whether you're a Muslim or not, stay true to that. Your wife, your children, even when they seem like they're rebelling, are looking to you for guidance. So as a father, you must always remain grounded spiritually, remain prayerful. You have to develop a thick skin meaning you have to take a lot. You have to be strong enough that your family has freedom to grow and experience things. And you're going to get some things wrong as a father. But the things that you get right, say all praise is due to Allah, and keep going and follow a successful father in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who shares, not that he had to or has to, things that he did or things where I would have done this the way. It's a lot of brothers who can share things with us who will help us. My children are 20 and 18, but they show me something different. They show their mother something different. You have to be open. You have to be open, and your children will help you be a better father. But you have to learn to listen. And I let one last little point on that, which I'm still learning. I can't say that I got it all together. But you gotta let your children get it out. Sometimes it's a great struggle for them to even approach you, let alone figure out how to say what they're trying to figure out the best way to say what they really want to say.
Yes, sir.
So you got to kind of learn how to, even if, man, I reach out and choke you. No, don't do that. Let them get it all out. Let them get it all out. Because I have found in being a father that if you let them get it all out, on the back end of that, you're going to see yourself and what part you played in it and how you contributed to what could be deemed a negative emotion at that time. But by letting them get it all out, energy even dissipates. See, but if you don't let them get it all out, you frustrated, then they leave mad. See, that's what I'm talking about. You can't tell that nigga nothing. So they not might say that part, but that's what they're thinking in their mind.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So as a father, you got to be grounded. You got to be, you know what I mean? You got to be faithful, and you got to be humble, you know. And if you mess up, fess up. You know, you mess up, fess up. No harm. It's all good. You know, we're not perfect. We say that to other adults. Learn to share that with your children. Oh, really? Oh man. Damn, my bad. You got it that time. And you just keep moving. You know, it's not, everything is not that serious that there's some magical demotion you're gonna get as a parent if you don't get all right, or if you have to acknowledge some mistake you made, or they see some flaw you got. They already know. They grew up under you. They already know what's wrong with you. They just want to see if you gonna own it, right? Like you try to make them own stuff.
Yes, sir.
So you know, just little things like that, brother, that really help. I have experienced that really help to be, you know, I would have to give as advice to a father, because you wanna eventually have a relationship with your children as well. You know, they'll always have to respect you. Mine, it ain't going to be a time when children can disrespect me. Nope, not going to be. But I hope that we have the type of relationship that if they have to come to me about whatever, they can do it, because you know that kind of relationship is there. So absolutely be faithful, be the best you can be, but be humble and be open. Be open and supple, you know, flexible.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. What advice would you give to future husbands?
Well, all of that times 10. You know, here's one of the things that I would say, you know, I'm not perfect. My wife is not perfect. We can't, and we should not expect perfection, but I will say that my wife is perfect for me. She's perfect for me. So we can't have these standards of perfection. You ain't gonna have it. You ain't gonna have it. The Holy Quran says to us that for every believing man, there's a believing woman. Right? We're paired up. Now, it also says that for the disbelieving is the disbelieving. For the adulterer is the adulteress.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For the, I mean, so how we end up paired, you got to look at yourself first. I'm trying to say it as nice as I can, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You got to look at yourself first. So as a future husband, the first person you got to look at and deal with is yourself, not a woman, not a female. You have to learn yourself, and you have to know yourself, and you have to be patient with yourself, and you have to be patient with the person that you marry, even if you think you know them. Because once you start living with a person, that's when you really start knowing them. So you can only know so much not being together. And I will say this. You see a lot of stuff on TV, people talking about, you know, where we grew apart, you know, people grow apart. Well, you know, I understand kind of like what people are saying, but the fact of the matter is just because you get married, it doesn't stop your growth. So what seems important today may not be as important tomorrow. Things change, you know? So don't put too much stock in your wife's favorite color and favorite flower. And I'm not saying don't know that.
Yes, sir.
But 10 years from now, brother, she's going to have another favorite color. You're going to find out another flower. You know what I mean? So you got to really find what's really, really important. And it ain't it ain't colors, and it ain't what type of flower, you know? So it's very important that you understand that people keep growing. And we use the language growing apart, but marriage is a commitment. So what you really have to learn is, even as we keep growing as people, it could seem like we're growing apart, but what you're doing, you're straying away from the commitment you have made. Because this person is growing. So to kind of prevent that, we start grabbing our spouse and kind of, putting reins on them and bringing them in. You don't want your spouse to explore this now. You don't want your man to explore this now. You don't want your wife. What you doing hanging out with all of? What are you talking about that for? Now, it's all right. She's not leaving you, but she wants to grow as a person. She has her own identity.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But if we stay committed to the ideal and the principle of marriage, that's got to be more important than these little individual things that, yes, they are important, staying in shape, and I want to keep my body nice for the missus. Yes, she's in that, she's doing her thing too, right? So we try to keep it together. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't trade that woman in if she didn't have no teeth. If she gained 50 pounds, I'm gonna say, man, see, now I gotta buy another bed because of you. See? But you ain't going nowhere. What are you talking about? See, you have to be committed. You have to be committed so you can handle the downs and you can handle the ups, which sometimes is going to look like I'm growing. And if you're growing so much, why don't you go tap your spouse and say, why don't you come, hey, check this out. I've been, learning this, I learned that, or try to learn things together or whatever. But my point simply is that I would say to any husband or future husband, man, you gotta have your stuff together, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
sir. You gotta have your stuff together. Because 90% of the time, whatever the problem is, we can trace that thing right back up into, us. And if you don't have that kind of example, for those of you who may not be in the Nation of Islam that's watching, you can still follow Minister Farrakhan's example. You can still listen to him. You can still go back and review interviews that you have done with many folk and many things that your father has done and the many series. And if you can still glean from other people who will tell you at the end of the day, some of this stuff that you think is important is not as important as this world is trying to compel you to think that it is. Get yourself together, brother. Get yourself spiritually grounded and devoted. Know how to do everything. Don't be a man that don't know how to cook. Don't be a man that can't wash clothes. You just can put all the clothes together. You just wash them. And you gotta know how to wash clothes. You know what I mean? You gotta know how to iron. I'm trying to be a Superman top laborer. Yeah, but I iron clothes, man. I love the iron. It's like golf for me almost. Don't tell nobody. Sometimes I go to different stores like Hancock's, Joanne and stuff. I just love irons. You know what I mean? Every year I might buy me a new iron with the new, But anyway, I'm still a man. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But as a husband, your job is to be able to make sure that house is popping and that family is popping. And if your wife is sick or ill or something goes on, you're going to make your wife get up out of her sick bed to cook food? Damn, brother. You know what I mean? You're going to make your wife get up out of her sick bed to go wash clothes? No, sir, man. You and I got to be supermen on all levels.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mentally, morally. You got to have money in your pocket. You can't never be broke. If you have a good job, get you something on the side. But I said, even if you have a good job, find you something. You don't know if you're going to have that or not. A man always got to have some money in his pocket, so that he can be able to do this or do that, or even if you run in a tight house with a tight budget, and many of us are, we do in my house. I'm watching every time when it go by. But it has always been a tradition in our household that Savior's Day is splurge time. I'm not saying it's got to be for anybody else, but you got to pick times that your wife and your children can get what they want. Eat what you want. What you want. You know what I mean? Now, we can't do that every month now. But Savior's Day, Savior's Day has become a family tradition with us that, I put little things away so that when we go to Savior's Day, and we always vend, that's the time that, you can eat whatever you want, you can buy whatever you want, you can get whatever you want, but you have to have some time as a man that, your family gets to experience you as the beneficent. The giver who just keeps on giving,
yes, sir,
seeking nothing in return, and then next month, hey, gotta be back tight again.
Praise be to
No,
Allah.
I'm just messing with you, bro. I'm just messing with
Sir.
you.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm enjoying this interview. And please, everybody, like, share, subscribe. Brother Minister, if you could see God face to face and meet him face to face, and what would you ask him?
Wow. I don't know. I would only, if I saw him face to face, the only thing that I can think of the top of my head that I would ask him is the reality of the afterlife. I would ask him, what's up with that? Many of us, and some right now, you're probably gonna start dropping in the chat. But I'm convinced that when we have a period to this life, that ain't it.
I agree.
I don't think that's it. I don't know what it is after that. No, I don't know. Don't claim to know. I don't try to speculate. But it's so much that he has done in the things that Allah brings us through, brother, and how he provides in every imaginable and unimaginable way, in every circumstance.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's just hard to believe that when they put me in that box, I cease.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't think that's my personal opinion. I don't think that's hypocrisy, but I would ask him if I saw him. I'm not anxious to see what's on the other side at all. You know what I mean? But if I have always been,
yes,
if
sir.
I was a was before I was a was,
go ahead. Yes, sir.
Where was I before I was born, and what was I doing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know. You know where you was before you was born, brother?
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
You don't remember what you was doing. See, then we the same. So, but we here. We're here, brother, and there was nothing new under the sun.
That's right.
So what's after this? Maybe we go back to where we was before we was born. I don't know.
Yes, sir.
But I would like to hear from him just a little something about that, if he could share something about that. Everything else, I'm so pleased to be in his universe, to live, experience life. I hope I live a long time. I want to see my great grandchildren. I desire a long life. But to be honest, I've had a wonderful life. I can't complain to him about nothing. I've had a chance to develop wonderful friendships, and I have a beautiful family. I've had a chance, because of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, to see some of this earth, travel, go to different countries. So I don't have anything to really ask him about in that way, or things, or I don't, it's nothing that I want, that I don't think that I really can get, that I can't get it. You know what I mean? So it's not even about things. You know what I mean? Yeah, if I did, I get one. You know what I mean? If I want a Lambo, I get one. I just hadn't set my mind to it yet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
And and I don't have a house enough for a Lambo right now either. So, but I wouldn't worry to God about no stuff like that, man.
yes, sir. Okay, well,
So,
what do you think that he would ask you?
oh man, did brother, did you really give it all? Did
Mm,
you give it all
mm.
that you got? Do you have any regrets? Again, not about things and not about that. My deepest fear, and I wouldn't want to go before him or the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and to be honest, even before the minister, and I stay on 10 all the time. Don't turn down, and I don't think I'll ever change and don't want to change. But what drives me, and the reason I'm like that, I don't ever want to be in a position where, just like when I was in athletics or when I wrestled, leave it all on the mat. I leave it all on the mat.
Yes, sir.
Leave
Yes,
it
sir.
all on the mat. And if he see me and say, "Well, brother, did you leave it all out there? Did you do all you could? Did you do all you could?" I want to be able to say, "Yes, and be honest about it." But I think he might would ask me about that, and because all that other stuff he already know about that. So hopefully he will cast those things into the sea of forgetfulness, right?
Yes, sir.
And really, I would like to be able to answer that question. If he answered that yes, sir, dear Savior Allah, I gave it all. I gave it all. I don't have nothing left. I don't have nothing left.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. One more question for you, Prime Minister. What
Sure.
what would you like your legacy to be, sir?
Oh, I don't even know, brother. I would only say, and what I try to do is, brother, is to be brother Amon. I love brother Amon, and everywhere I go, even sometimes, Caucasians come up to me and they'll call me brother Amon. Okay, well, I guess if that's how you want to roll, you can't. So we can't be all the devil, but they're trying to be nice.
Yes, sir.
But I really, really, really want to be a good brother. Honestly, and I'm not just saying it to say, I want to be a person that, again, not only did I not hold back where the God was concerned, I don't want to hold back where my brothers and my sisters are concerned, where my parents are concerned, where my siblings are concerned. I just want to, and that was, hey, that was a real brother. That was a real brother. If anybody can say anything else, anything else other than that, they want to say, suit yourself. But I really want to be a good brother and try to do my best to extend the we all have issues, but extend to other people the tremendous love, the brotherhood that has been extended to me over the years. The many black men, they talk so bad about black men, but I've had many black men in my life, as long as I can remember, all the way back to Head Start, who were very instrumental in my development, even before I heard the word Islam,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I want to be that kind of person that even if a person never even considers themselves a member of the Nation of Islam, that in some kind of way, just like a teacher or Dr. Jones as my principal or Mr. Bass as my teacher, or, these people that impacted my life that didn't consider themselves Muslims, that's a part of me. So that's the only thing I could think of, brother, that I just want to make sure that I make my mark and my impact in the world in that positive way that, people say, hey man, that was a good brother. He really helped advance this, advance that, gave me another way to view this or to view that or what have you.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Excellent. Well, I want to thank you, sir. This has been an amazing interview. Thank everyone who's watching. And just
Thank
once
you,
again,
brother.
it was an honor. I can't wait to put this on YouTube. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam. Thank you. May Allah continue to bless you in your excellent work, my brother.
Thank you very much, sir. Same to you, sir.